Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Well, I'm going to film this vlog, which will probably be a little shorter tonight, in two parts. Because I am listening to Leah in the Offset, or Leah in the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. And it is really good, and I want to get a lot of it done tonight. And I don't have anything to do tomorrow, so I'm going to listen to it tonight and try to get like a big part of it done. Because it's only like 7 hours long, and I got a half an hour of it already listened to, and I listened to it at 0.2 speed, so that's 3.5 hours that I have to listen to of this book. So I want to like get a really big part of it done, and it's been a really good day today. I just want to say really quick, if you're looking for a good mystery or thriller, I finished that book last night, Behind Her Eyes, and it was fantastic. It was one of the best thrillers, mysteries I have read in a long time. And it's not like a whodunit. I mean, it is my hair looks so bad. It is kind of, but it's so much more than that. And it goes in such a deep place that I literally had no clue what was going to happen until the very, very end. None whatsoever. And, so anyway, it's very cool. You should read it. If you like a good mystery thriller, Behind Her Eyes, it's fantastic. And I'm going to do my spoiler-free review up on my BookTube channel probably tomorrow. It's been a good day as far as BookTube. It's been really interesting. Like, I was very, very nervous because today was my very first live discussion for my book club. So, if y'all don't know, I started a book club called Peter's Book Club. It's on my BookTube channel. Last night I went into Goodreads, and I was like, so Goodreads is an app for people that like to read books. It's like Facebook, but for books. And it's probably one of my favorite social media apps. So go over to Goodreads if you're not on there already, and friend request me, and I accept everybody. So anyway, then you can see like what I'm reading and where I'm at in it, because I always update where exactly I'm at in every book, if you're interested in that at all. And I give little things like, oh my God, I can't believe this is, along the way as I'm reading it. So anyway, but I went into Goodreads last night because I was like, I'm going to develop a group. I'm going to start a group on Goodreads to go along with my Peter's Book Club. It's so funny talking about myself in third person. Peter's Book Club for my BookTube channel. So on Goodreads now, I have Peter's Book Club, which I also tweeted out. So if you want to find the link to it, it's on there. And I was so excited because I've always wanted to be part of a book club, which is why I started it. But I've never had the nerve to like actually drive to a book club and go in there because of my social anxiety and stuff. It just makes me really nervous. And the last I looked, I had like 67, 61 group members, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this many people have joined this group. It's so fun. And today we started reading Heaven by V.C. Andrews. So if you'd like to read it with us, read it with us. And I did my live stream this afternoon at 4 o'clock for my sweet Audrina, and it was really fun. I had a great time doing it. And so many people came in there. There was like 70 or 80 people in there at any given time, and which is a good amount of people for a live stream anyway. And yeah, it was cool. It was fun. I had a really great time. So that's about the size of it. Let's see, what else? Anything else going on? I cannot think. Alex laid around in bed today and caught up on all of his TV shows. We went to brunch, and I had an omelet, a bagel, and potatoes. And I couldn't even finish half. I ate the entire omelet, but then I brought home half the bagel and the potatoes, and I never even ate them. I never even finished it. So I rarely don't bring food home. I rarely bring food home because if I bring it home, I don't end up eating it. Alex is like the leftover king. He brings food home all the time. Like if he'll order a large cheese pizza from someplace and then like eat half of it and bring the other half home to take to lunch the next day. But I just am not a big like leftovers person. And in trying to eat a little healthier, I think sometimes it's better for me if I just don't eat, like I look at the portions and I just don't eat the whole thing. So that was fun, and I had great coffee. It was like this caramel Brazilian coffee. It was really good. They have great coffee there. And let's see what else. Creaky Halloween door. It was just a really relaxing day. I came home, I did the live stream, and then I made videos. And I did another live stream tonight. I tried to take a nap tonight, and I could not fall asleep. While Alex was watching his shows, I was like, well, I think maybe I'll nap for a little bit. And I just couldn't nap. Like, I couldn't fall asleep, and Boo Radley kept on moving around. People keep on asking about Boo Radley. So I have a vet appointment scheduled for him tomorrow. But I'm going to call in the morning and see if she thinks that we need to bring him in, because he's completely back to normal. And he's not, like, screaming out or anything like that. But Boo Radley has also kind of always done that. It's just not as, like, he always gets, like, scared. It's like he'll be walking and all of a sudden he screams out like a ghost, you know, grabbed him. But it's been, like, more consistent lately, which was what made me worry about him. And, those people had a Christmas tree and a wreath, and somebody told me, remember I was talking about the kidnapping one night? Somebody said in the comment section of my video that people do that when their family members are enlisted and they're gone, they've been deployed. I thought that was really interesting. I didn't know that. I like that. So anyway, but Boo Radley is completely back to normal. He's not throwing up at all. We did the chicken and the rice with him for 2 days, and now he's back on regular food, and he's completely fine again. So, I don't know. I might take him in the morning anyway, just to get him checked out. So we'll see, because I just want to make sure nothing's wrong with the little guy, you know. It's weird, like the things that they've got sick about. Like Alex said that he found a spider down by their house, and so he kind of wondered if maybe Boo Radley got bit by a spider. And I said, well, was it a big spider? And he goes, no. He goes, it was a small spider. But Pee-Pee one time got bit by a spider, and I came home, and I'll tell you how we know. But so anyway, I came home, and his face was like a little swollen, like right here. And I called Alex, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm really nervous about this. And I called Tanya, and she's like, well, maybe it's his tooth or something. Is it by his jaw? And I said, it's kind of his cheek. And so Alex said, well, because Alex was going to be home in like an hour. This was like on a Saturday in the afternoon sometime, early evening. And he was like, well, I'll be home in an hour. Let's wait and see, and if he can make it till then. Well, by the time that Alex came home, Pee-Pee's entire, like, his face was swollen, and so we took him to the emergency hospital. And the woman was like, yeah, he was bit by a spider. And she was like, we just need to give him an antibiotic or whatever they gave him to take care of the spider bite. And I mean to tell you, like, she gave him the medicine there, and then we had to give him another pill like 4 hours later when we got home. By the time that we got home, which would have been a half an hour, the swelling had already gone down half, and by like 4 hours later, we had to give it to him, the medicine, for like 3 days. But by the time that we got like 4 hours later, it was completely back to normal. But that is so scary, you know, that like a spider bite can do that to an animal, or a bug bite. So Alex and I were like, well, maybe we need to, like, you know, we live up against woods, so if you can see behind our house sometimes when I show that, so we always have like animals around, like, you know, animals up against our house, or bugs. Like, we really deal with a lot of ants in the summer inside our house. And so Alex was like, well, maybe we can, like, you know, have an exterminator come and look at the house and see if maybe like the bugs are really bad and whatever. But I don't see spiders a whole lot ever, so I don't know. But our basement is not finished, and it's cement, so I mean, we're not like Nene Leakes. We don't have bugs in our house, but I mean, I've never seen bugs like that before. I mean, I have like seen, you know, a bug before, but I haven't seen like a mass amount of bugs. But I don't know, Alex was like, well, maybe Boo Radley got bit by a spider. And I was like, well, that could be, because he's down in his little house all the time by himself, so that would explain why he was acting weird. And then if he got bit there, you know, maybe like it would continue to hurt, and that would be why he screamed out. Because it is kind of how he screams out, like when he gets shots, like when he has to get his regular shots. So anyway, but he didn't look like he was swelling or anything like that. But he's completely back to normal, being himself, following Pee-Pee around in the yard, and Pee-Pee was great today. And, yeah, we just had a really relaxing day. Alex's best friend's still in town. I wanted to film something with her, but she leaves on Tuesday, and tomorrow's her grandma's birthday party. And today she was taking her mom and her stepdad out for dinner, because, like, a congratulation dinner, because they just got married. And so she hasn't really been able to, I don't know when we would film it. I have no clue. It's a full moon out tonight. Full moon rising. Sometimes this is me in the car driving in silence. I just kind of drive in silence sometimes. Sometimes I don't even think about anything. Sometimes my head is just completely clear. So I'm going to finish this Leah book probably today or tomorrow, because I want it to be on my April wrap-up. And then I got to figure out what I want to read for May. We're supposed to have really nice weather this week, and if that's the case, then I'm going to be outside the entire week reading, because I love to sit outside and read. We've got to call the guy to fix our patio door. He said he can only do Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I need to text him to see when he can come out there so I can coordinate it with the alarm company. It's always something. I thought our brand new washing machine was broken today. And I was like, oh, so over it. And then it started like working. I think it was just kind of like sitting there for a second. I don't know why. But I was like, please don't be broken. We just got you. I don't want to have to deal with the burden of dealing with all of that again. Turn around, since I am way out here in the country that I said I was never going to come out here again in. I don't even know what this town is called. What is this town? I have no idea. There's so many little small towns in Indiana that when you drive around, and there was a little kitty cat in the road. Aww. There's so many little small towns that when you drive around, I'm like looking for a sign that will say like what this is, but it doesn't say. Whiting or Whispering or something. There was a little park there. Usually, Wilkinson. There's Wilkinson's Town Hall, which is the smallest building I've ever seen in my entire life. Do you guys want to see the spookiest thing in the entire world? Okay, I'm going to turn around and show you guys. You guys are going to be shook when I show you this. I'm serious. Like, this is really scary. Just sitting out in front of this building, okay? In the middle of the night. Are you ready? Okay. So I'm in this little small town. Hold on a second. Let me... Look how dirty my windshield is. Okay, are you guys ready? Here's the police department. Tell me that it's not spooky as hell. What if it moved? What is that about? I don't like that at all. That reminds me of the night that Tanya and I were walking down the street and we saw the really tall guy, and he was like Slender Man. I mean, he was like really tall, like 6'7", and he was just standing on the side of this residential road, but behind him was this really tall fence that was like 10 feet high. It's right in Tanya's neighborhood, and when we walked by, he had like one of those stranger's masks on, and when we walked by, his head was cocked like this, and he was like looking at us, and as we drove by, he like turned his head towards us, and Tanya goes, "Turn around right now, turn around," and we turned around, and when we turned back around, he was gone. I was like, oh my God, what was that? Tanya would make me chase crime. We would drive around, and like whenever like the police, so Tanya used to and still does, because she owns a kennel, she boards the canine, all the canine cops, and so she knows all the policemen in her area, and she knows like all the like the canine cop dogs and stuff. And so whenever we would see like police that had pulled, like when it was like 5 cars that had pulled somebody else over, Tanya would roll down her window, and she'd go drive by real slow. When we would drive by, she'd be like, "You guys doing okay tonight?" Because they all knew her, and they'd be like, "Hey, Tanya, no, we're good." I'm like, oh my God, Tanya. Tanya grew up in a real small town, so she's like real small town minded, which I love, because I wish I was small town. I never wanted to move to the big city. I mean, I had thought maybe at one point I would move to like Chicago or New York or something, but most of my life I've been kind of very much like I wanted to live in a little town, like a small town where you know everybody. I always thought that would be fun. My ex was from a small town, and we would go down there. He was from Seymour, Indiana, which is where John Mellencamp's from. And we would go down there, and we would stay in a hotel for the weekend and visit his 2 friends, that are like 2 friends of mine too. Actually, I'm friends with them now, and he doesn't talk to them at all. These 2 girls, Rhonda and Kyla. And we would just like go out to dinner or go to the Seymour City pool, which I love, the Seymour City pool. And we would go to like, we would go to O'Brien Street and shoot pool, and then we would just go from place to place to place and like talk to people, and like go to the Walmart, and they would know like everybody at the Walmart, like everybody. They would walk and they'd be like, "Hey, how are you doing, Mrs. Smith? It's good to see you," you know, and they would talk to people, and then somebody would be like, "Hey, we're gonna be home in a half an hour, you guys should stop by," and we'd go over there and stop by and whatever, fountain pops, you know, and drive around and stuff. And I used to love it, and he would always say to me, he's like, "I don't understand why that's so appealing to you." And I'm like, I don't know why either. And in fact, there was a point when I thought I might move down there. This was like we had thought together that we might buy a duplex and rent out half of it and live in the other half. And my mom even was like, "Well, I could come down there because I could be a host at Walmart." She's like, she's like, "Up here," she goes, "I wouldn't, you know, want people to come in and see me." I'm like, "You would care if people knew that you worked at Walmart, Mom?" She's like, "Yeah, I don't know." She's like, "Friends of your dad's and stuff like that." She's like, "But if I was down there, I could work anywhere and I wouldn't care." She's like, "I could scoop ice cream, I could work at the Walmart, I could do whatever I wanted to do." So anyway, but he said he would never live in Seymour again. But anyway, he was always like, "I don't understand what's so appealing about it to you." And I just love the small town. I mean, I guess when maybe you grew up in it, it's a different kind of, it's different. It's like you want to get out of it. But when you didn't grow up in a small town, there's something very homey about it, you know? What was strange to me is that I don't think of Indianapolis as a big city, but they would be like, a lot of people that we would meet be like, "Now, where are you guys living now?" We'd be like, "In Indianapolis." And they'd be like, "Oh, the big city. Like, we don't ever get up there. Like, as far as we go is Columbus." You know, they would never go to, they would go to Louisville before they would go to Indianapolis, which Louisville is a bigger city than Indianapolis. Like, well, I don't know. It seems bigger. I think this next coming weekend is when it is Thunder over Louisville. If you guys live in southern Indiana or around Louisville, or if you've gone to the Kentucky Derby, so there's the Kentucky Derby, which is the racetrack thing, which I've never been to because I don't like horse races. I don't agree with them. That's just my personal business. But 2 weeks before that is Thunder over Louisville, and it's one of the most fun weekends ever. And they do fireworks off the bridge in Louisville, and they there's so many celebrities. Maybe it's the week before, and they have all kinds of celebrities down there, and there's festivals and all kinds of stuff. It's really, really fun. And we used to all of us go down there to Louisville and go out to the Connection, which was the gay bar in Louisville, and for Thunder over Louisville. which you just call Thunder. You don't call it Thunder over Louisville unless you're a tourist. You just call it Thunder. And it's not Louisville, it's Louisville. Which I learned because it's like Nolans. It's not New Orleans, it's Nolans. Just like it's not Illinois with an S, it's Illinois. The S is silent. People ask me what my pet peeves are. My pet peeves are when people say Illinois with an S. I don't know why that drives me nuts. Isn't that silly to have that as a pet peeve? I haven't been to Thunder in a long time. I haven't been to Kentucky. Well, that's not true. When did Alex and I last time go down there? We used to go to Louisville quite a bit. At least like once every 6 months. We would go out to the bars down there. And so we haven't been down there in a long time. There's a new gay bar down there, Play, which is supposed to be a lot of fun. And it's like where all the drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race come and stuff. But I haven't been to it yet. When the Connection shut down, Play started, and it kind of like it's now like the big gay bar down there. Louisville for a while had a huge gay scene. Get this, because I don't drink, you know. We used to drive, we would take a friend or two with us, Alex and I, and we would drive down to Louisville, and we would, oh, that stupid yellow light came on. We would leave here at like 8 o'clock and get down there at 10, and then we would stay till like 3 in the morning. They closed late. The Connection closed late, like 4 or 5 in the morning, but we would stay till like 3, and then drive back. I would drive back because I just wanted to be in my own bed. I didn't want to stay down in a hotel overnight down there and have to deal with the dogs and all that kind of stuff. So we would do it all in like 7 hours. It was fun because I like road trips. We should do that. We need to do that. We haven't gone to Louisville in a long time, and I've never been to Play. A couple people that watch my videos are like, if you come to Louisville and you come to Play, let me know. I'm going to be out. So maybe we'll make that trek in the next month or 2. Actually, Thunder Weekend would be a really great weekend to go to Play. I've been having really weird dreams lately. I don't know. I think the book that I was reading, which has something to do with dreams, I think it kind of made me start having weird dreams, maybe? I don't know. I'd like to live in a small town, but I would not like to live in a farmhouse like way out like this. I used to think that I would, but now I'm kind of like, no, I think I'd be scared. It always kind of shuts off at about 22, 23 minutes, so I know it's about to shut off. But I think I would be scared to live in a farmhouse out like this. My aunt lives in a farmhouse by herself now because my uncle passed away a couple years ago, and she lives out on this farmhouse all by herself, and I'm like, how do you do it? Like, I would be terrified. Because through the years, people have like, you know, come and like driven down her driveway and just sat there in the middle of her driveway, you know, and it like wake her up because she could hear them out there, you know, and stuff. I think that would be scary. Like keeping a safe distance behind me. It's kind of weird. Like they're always like at the same distance. I don't know what that's about. You know how it is. Usually people like speed up and pass me by. Can you guys believe it's almost May? I feel like 2018 is just flying by. So many like projects and fun things I want to do this summer. I'm so excited. I'd love to say this is my summer to lose weight and get into shape, but I've said that for about the last 10 summers. You know, the thing is that when I was working out every day, like running every day and lifting like several times a week, and Alex and I were eating really healthy, like it wasn't hard for me to keep up and do. But when I got out of it, to get back into it, like it's so hard. I mean, it's like really, really hard. I always say I'm going to start it, and then I never do, you know? And Alex is so supportive, and he has been, you know, oh, it just stopped. I'll be back later. Okay, I'm back. I'm really liking, it's been like an hour. I am really liking my audiobook. But she cusses, the character cusses a lot in it. And what's interesting is, from a writer's point of view, like, when you, like, if in the first chapter, somebody cusses one time, you're like, oh, they cuss. If they cuss 2 or 3 times, it's like they cuss a lot. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just, I don't know, it's interesting to me from a young adult book. I know that they're trying to be very realistic, and teenagers cuss, or Becky Albertalli is, and teenagers cuss and stuff like that, but at some point it becomes a little bit too much, I think. I am going to go home and get a very good night's sleep and snuggle in next to my husband and Pee-Pee, because Boo and Tucker are down in their house tonight. All this construction in Indiana, but they cannot fix any of these potholes. I mean, it's enough already. And I had to get new tires because of that. Alex was like, you should send your bill to the state of Indiana. I'm like, yeah, because they're really going to listen to that. It's kind of one of those nights between spring and summer where it's still like cool enough. It's like 40. My temperature says 40. Where it's still like, you know, it gets down cool enough in the evenings that you can open the windows and have a little bit of a cold breeze going through, which is nice. We don't do it very often because Alex gets really cold. But sometimes, like, if I go to bed before him, like, he got home late last night because they went out and had Denny's, he and his friend, after they went out. So I was asleep in bed before he was. And I, like, cracked the window open. We still have our heat on, though. Like, it still goes on, like, once a day because it gets so cold late at night. Which is crazy to me that, you know, in April, May, you still have your heat on. I'm really excited about summer this year. We have so many fun things planned. We are going to, well, we're going to finalize our trip for our birthdays tomorrow. And then, we are going to somewhere for our anniversary in August, probably Las Vegas. And then, we are going to Connecticut, I think. Alex has like a work conference for 2 days, 2 or 3 days. So we're going to go to that. He asked me if I wanted to go, and I was like, yeah, that'll be fun. And I just have to pay for my flight because they're paying for everything else. So I have no idea where in Connecticut or anything. Alex was like, we could take the train into the city. He was like, do people do that? I was like, I have no idea, Alex. It's Connecticut. I think it's kind of far, but maybe for the day. But I mean, we're only going to be there for 3 days, and I think he has the work conference 2 of the 3 days, so. Blinded by the light. I usually get hungry really late at night like this, but I'm not hungry right now. It's interesting. But we did have brunch, and then I ate like a late kind of dinner snack kind of thing. So that might be part of it too. I need to call my cousin tomorrow because I need to go over and see my uncle at some point. I always like sort my books out by like season, and I'm really, really excited about all of the books that I have set aside for. I have like an entire series that I want to read, well, besides Harry Potter, but I have a whole series I want to read that I read when I was like in 3rd grade. I read 3 of the books, but there's 7 of them, and I didn't know there were 7 of them. Of The Witch's Sister by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor, and I bought all of them on Thrift Books. So I have like the entire series, and I'm really excited. And they're only each like 140 pages. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about a lot of things. I'm excited about just going to the pool. I'm excited about night swimming. I loved night swimming. It's like one of my favorite things in the entire world. When I was like in my late 20s, and I was working, you know, in treatment, like in the evenings, a lot of times I would, at the time, that was my first boyfriend, and he had like 2 different jobs. And so at night, he worked for a hotel, and he did like room service for the hotel. And so that was like his second job. So I was just always at home by myself. And so a lot of times I would go over and visit my mom, and we would go night swimming. And, because my mom loved to swim too. And we would just like lay in the pool, look at the moon, and she would make like iced tea. Like, she always made sun tea. I don't think sun tea tastes any different than real regular iced tea. But she would bring it, and we would go sit down there, and then we'd get out of the swimming pool, and then we would go back and have coffee and sit on our back patio and just talk for a couple hours. It was always so much fun. Those are like the things I miss the most about my mom, you know? Just like sitting around talking. And it's interesting because that sounds like something that you would do with your friend, but like my mom and I never had that relationship that we were friends. Like, we had an adult relationship, but it was never that we were friends, you know? And I think that my mom was really good with that boundary, because I think that most kids, and I can only speak from my experience, want parents. They don't want parents that are friends. And I think it's one thing as you get older to see your parent as one of your best friends. But I tell my best friend things I would never have told my mom. You know what I mean? Like, I talk to her about things that I would never have talked to my mom about. And so in that way, she, you know, my mom wouldn't have been my best friend, but we were very close. And we had great conversations about just, you know, we could sit there for hours and just talk about movies, you know, favorite lines from movies or books or what we thought about a certain movie. We would talk about a certain movie forever, you know. My mom was hard to go to movies with because she talked straight. I mean, she talked all through a movie. And, like, I remember seeing Boys Don't Cry with her, and she actually got up and left during the movie because she was like, just, it really like devastated her to watch the movie. And to see any kind of sexual assault from my mom, or it was like that was a big issue for her in her life, and something that she advocated for other people, was sexual assault. And so when she would see it in movies and things, and in Boys Don't Cry, it's done so realistically. It's just, and it is a real story, you know. And Tina Brandon was killed, or the Brandon Tina was killed, and it's just such a devastating story, you know. And then I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I'd like to actually see it again. One of my mom's favorite movies was Brokeback Mountain. She loved that movie so much. And she'd start talking about that scene at the very end when, I think it was Ennis that would stand and he would just smell the shirt at the very end. And my mom would just start crying. And she would always, like, when she would set people right, like when they would say it's a gay love story, she'd say, no, it's a love story. It's not about, it doesn't matter if it's gay or straight, it's a love story, you know? And it would, she said, I think it was one of the greatest love stories ever written, you know? I actually read it for, because she had given me the book, like, years ago, like 10 years ago, by Annie Proulx. It's a novella, and I read it and for Booktubeathon a couple years ago, which is a readathon. It is really a short read, but it is fantastic, and it is so beautifully written. And the movie took some liberty on, but not a lot. But I mean, it's a novella. It's very short, so. She also loved really funny movies, which kind of cracks me up, because I always think of my mom as kind of intellectual, you know? But she loved movies like Caddyshack and Fletch. She loved, you know, like slapstick kind of movies from the 80s. Those were like some of her funniest movies. I'll never forget one time she got so upset because back in the day, when video stores closed, I don't know, if you're my age, you'll remember this, but when video stores closed, they started having like video sections in grocery stores. So this was when my mom was still drinking, and like I was with my dad for a weekend. I must have been like older though, because the movie couldn't have come out when I was real young. But she asked this guy, and she was like, I don't understand why he did this to me. And she was like, because I was chatting him up, and you know, I told him, I said, like, you know, my son's away for the weekend, I'm real lonely, and I need a really funny movie to cheer me up. And so he recommended to her this movie with Jessica Lange called Men Don't Leave. And so she got like a bottle of wine and went home, and she was really excited to watch this funny movie. Men Don't Leave is about a woman that has 2 sons, and her husband leaves her, and then she has to go live in this shithole apartment in the city and work so that she can support her kids. That was cruel shit to do to somebody, you know? But it's so funny when I go through her movies now, because the other movie that she absolutely loved was, God, why can't I think of what it's called? American something, not American Beauty. It's the one about, maybe it's not called American something. It's the one with Kate Hudson, the very first movie she was in, and the kid works for Rolling Stone. He gets like the gig with Rolling Stone to go with her and follow the band around. Almost Famous is what it's called. Almost Famous. Okay, it has one of the greatest soundtracks ever. My mother loved that movie. She's like, I so relate to Penny. Penny was the girl's name in the movie. She's like, I so relate to that Penny in the movie. I think it's interesting how we identify with people through movies and books, you know? I think it's interesting, you know, what books and what movies we really enjoy, and which way we're kind of pulled, you know? Like, I can read a great young adult contemporary, like I'm doing right now, this Leah Offbeat or whatever it's called, but I can love it just as much as I love, like, a really great thriller. And for me, a lot, it's just about, you know, the characters. Alex always laughs because when I'm like at the house, I just always like have a movie on in the background. I'm like, we pay for cable, we might as well have these free movies just always playing. And he's like, you are so funny, like what you pick. So I usually like 90% of the time I pick a horror movie, like something really scary. And the other night I played Halloween Resurrection like 3 times back to back. I just kept on starting it over. And he was watching as I was like, he goes, when did you pick Wrong Turn to watch? And he said this to me like 2 weeks ago. I was like, I just was watching it one day. I like go in there and pick all these movies, but like I love to watch like Goonies on there too, and like some of my favorite movies from the 80s and the 90s are on there, which I love. Those movies always make me feel like very homey, you know, like, I guess when I say the word homey, what I mean by that is like safe. You know, in my home, protected, like cozy. I'm sure it has different connotations for everybody, but like thinking about the past, you know? I like thinking of memories from the past, and I like looking at my life and thinking about what things made me the happiest, and then kind of recreating them in today. Not trying to relive the past necessarily, but like doing the same, you know, doing some of the things and trying them today. Like I was talking to Alex about, when I was really young, my mom and I think her friend Vicky and her daughters, we would go to the museum, the art museum in Indianapolis, which is gorgeous anyway and has beautiful grounds. They have movies there in the summer, and on this huge screen, and you used to be able to take a picnic, but I think now you have to like buy your stuff there at the concession stand, but it's like a very upscale concession stand. Obviously it's an art museum. But we were walking out of the grocery store the other day, and they had this thing for Symphony on the Prairie, and I said we should do that sometime, because they always do like the Beatles, or they'll do like the soundtrack to Tommy, or you know, the greatest hits of, like, it's all very like pop music. And Alex kind of looked at me and was like, okay. I go, no, it's fun. Like, I mean, we could go with Jason and Melissa and make a picnic dinner and sit out there and just, you get to hear this, you know, orchestra. It's cheap. It's like $20 a couple or something like that. And he was like, yeah. He's like, I think that would be kind of a fun date night one night on the, you know. They do fireworks and everything, so. Definitely want to go to some concerts this summer, and not just electronic dance music concerts either. I think Fleetwood Mac is touring, which I heard, and I'm gonna die if that's, I mean, I know it's true, I saw it. I hope they come to Indianapolis. If they come to Indianapolis, I'm going, period, end of story. I'll make Tanya go with me, and we'll go, and we'll get real good seats, because this will probably be my last chance ever to see them. Rhiannon rings like a bell through the night, and wouldn't you love to love her? Stevie Nicks has probably been one of my favorite musical artists the longest. Like, I loved, when I was growing up, like Led Zeppelin, Bob Dylan, Grateful Dead. You know, my mom played a lot of that music. My dad was a little bit more country, but both of my parents, when that Rumors album came out, and my parents were separated when it came out, and my dad brought a copy over for my mom and gave it to her. That's how much he loved it. And I just remember both of my parents like dancing to that album. It's funny, like I remember my dad has this huge brick deck that looks out over the lake, and it like, so my dad's house sits on the side of like kind of a hill, and then it's like, he's on a lake, and he has a pool, but the upstairs like balcony is like where they grill out and stuff like that, and have chairs, and it has an awning over it. And we would sit out there in the summer, and I feel like he always had people over, like 5 or 6 people were always over there. My dad always had a lot of people like that, you know, like friends' kids that were visiting and out of town that would stay there because he always had so much extra space, and you know, they'd be home or whatever, and their parents would come like down from Chicago, and they'd all stay there for the weekend and stuff. But anyway, my dad's house was always such a fun house in the summers. And I remember like some of the albums that the CDs that he would play. And he played this Bob Dylan anniversary CD, which I have now too, 35th anniversary, I think. He would play it over and over and over. And then I also remember that he would play, my dad loved Julio Iglesias. Iglesias, is that how you pronounce it? Anyway, Enrique Iglesias is his son. And he would play this album over and over and over. And it was like this, and it had like, one of them had Willie Nelson with him on it. And my dad loved it. He would just play it on repeat to the point where it was like too much. My stepmom really liked more like, she liked Madonna, and she liked like all the mainstream kind of stuff. What's her face? Hey, Paula Abdul. She loved Paula Abdul. And, she loved all that kind of pop music. Madonna was definitely her favorite. I remember this one time. my first boyfriend and I, Jared and I, we were coming back with my dad and my stepmom. We were coming back from somewhere, and it was like this shit hotel. It was like this shit airport, and I don't know where it was. I can't remember. It was like some Caribbean island, and our plane, something was wrong with our plane, and so they had to like fly in another plane. And so we sat in this airport for like 10 hours on the floor, and there was literally nothing to do, and there was like this little bar restaurant in the middle, and that was it. There were no shops, there was nothing. And there was like all these people just sitting on the floor like waiting for hours. Well, my stepmom had brought like back some like duty-free rum or something for somebody. And so she sat there and she started drinking like rum and coke. This is so funny, I remember this. And she was like, we were sitting there and she had her earphones on and she was singing Holiday by Madonna. She had at that point maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 rum and cokes. She was feeling herself. She was feeling good. And she's like, doesn't realize that she's got her headphones on, right? And she's like, Holiday! And she's like singing really loud. My dad and I were laughing our asses off. Oh my God, it was so much fun. They don't travel really that much anymore. We used to take the most fantastic trips. We used to have so much fun. My dad would always go, okay, Peter, I don't dance. Your stepmom likes to dance. It's your job to take your stepmom out dancing. So I always had to take my stepmom out dancing to some nightclub wherever we were. And we'd always get there and there'd be like 5 people there. And she wouldn't care and she'd make me come out there and dance anyway. So we always had a good time though. It was fun. Family trips are fun, aren't they? People complain about them, but I think they're fun. You don't really realize how much fun they are until you don't go on them anymore, you know? Isn't it weird? Like, I don't remember the last family trip that I took with my dad and my stepmom. Isn't it weird, like, when you're on a trip or something, you're doing something in your life, you don't know sometimes, like, it's the last time that you'll be doing it. You know, like, when you have a friend and then, like, you guys fall out or they move away or whatever, but you don't realize that, like, in that moment, that would be, like, the last time that you guys are doing something together. You know what I mean? Like, isn't that weird? I think about that kind of stuff a lot, you know, like endings about stuff, and I've always been like that ever since I was a little kid. I've always thought about that kind of stuff, you know. My friends always laugh at me because I can't listen to an entire song before it ends. I always start it over or play another song. I don't like songs. I don't like just to listen to a song all the way through. I don't know why that is, but it's been something that I've always done. My friends in high school made fun of me for it, and now Tanya makes fun of me for it. So it's not like something that I just started that was new, you know. Isn't that weird? I often don't like thinking that my parents' divorce affected me in any kind of negative way, because I really don't feel like it did. You know, people are always like, well, do you have issues with your relationships because of your parents getting divorced? No, I don't. And Alex comes from a, you know, divorced family too, and we've talked about it. And I think if anything, the sanctity of marriage and saving our marriage and having the best marriage possible is probably more important to us because we have had parents that went through a divorce. But our stories are very similar, like Alex's mom and dad and my mom and dad, like very true, passionate romances that really fell out of love. And the circumstances of why our parents got divorced is different, but you know, it's interesting that it was very similar. And my mom and Alex's mom are like, my mom would have loved his mom because they're a lot alike in a lot of different ways and the way that they look at the world and things like that. But, you know, like, as much as my mom and dad disliked each other, my dad, if he was sitting here, he would say, I did not dislike your mom, Peter. He would just say, I just didn't, you know? He was like, she just was very difficult at times with me because I think she just was really, really hurt by everything that had happened. And didn't understand it, I think, at times. You know, later when my dad and I talked about it, he said, I said to him, I go, why, what led up to the divorce? And he said, your mom and I changed. He goes, we were different people. We weren't the same people that we were in 1967 in Chicago, you know? He goes, we weren't free-loving, having fun. He goes, we, you know, had settled down and we were in a house in the suburbs. And he goes, and I think neither one of us really wanted that ever, you know? He goes, I don't think any of us ever really, either one of us ever wanted to be settled down. And he said, neither one of us was happy in the marriage. And he said, and I knew your mom would never leave, so I left because I felt like one of us deserved to be happy, and hopefully she would be too, that she would find somebody else, and she never did. But, you know, he was like, but she had a great life, you know? I mean, my mom said at the end, you know, before, you know, she went into the coma and we had a talk, she said, I've had a fantastic life. She said, I'm not ready to go, because she didn't think that was anywhere on the horizon. But, you know, she said, I've had a great life, you know? And she did, you know, especially, I mean, my mom got sober at 51. Sober at 51. And she was sober, she was a month shy of 13 years sober. And that last 13 years for her, I think, was some of the best times of her entire life, you know? My mother really came into her own in her 50s. And really kind of enjoyed her life and had a lot of confidence and didn't really care what people said about her anymore. She just really didn't, you know? And she would say it's about being in your 50s, because when you're in your 50s, you just don't give a shit anymore. It's like, say what you want to say about me. And you know what's interesting is that the closer I get to 50, like, I feel that. Like, shit still hurts that people say, but I can feel myself pulling to the side, like, you know what, it is what it is. You can't do anything about it. People are going to talk. Live your life the way that you want to live it. And if some people out there don't like it, fuck them. You know, and that's kind of like the best that you can do. But I think you get to a point, like, when people say, I don't care what other people think about me, I think that's a bullshit statement. I really, really do. I think all of us care to some degree what other people think about us. And I know there's the one person out there going, not me. Well, I think we do. I think we all do to some degree. I think the trick is caring about what those close to us think about us, if that makes sense, you know? Like, I should care what Alex and, you know, Tanya and my dad and my stepmom and Alex's mom think of me, you know? But past that, I don't know that I think it really matters. You know, past my closest friends and family, I don't know that I think it really matters what people think of me. And I know what those people think of me, and I know what those people know of me. It's good things, you know? So you have to, some degree, live your life the way that you want to live it. And not everybody's going to agree with the things that you do in your life, you know? They're just not. And the choices that you make, and I don't know. Back in the day, I got so stuck in my head, like in my 20s. Oh, what will people think about this? What will people think about this, you know? And, you know, at one point, my mom and I had a conversation. I remember we were talking about this, and this would have been like right when we both got sober. Like, so she would have been 51-ish, and I would have been, you know, 22, almost 23. And we were talking about it, and she said something about somebody talking about, I said, Mother, you're just not that important. I'm sorry. Not everybody in the world is thinking about what you're doing. And she looked at me and she goes, I've never thought of it that way. She's like, it really is selfish to think that everybody's thinking about me. I go, yeah, kind of. I said, you're just not that important. Not everybody in the world is sitting around thinking about what you're doing and who you are. And all. Nobody really cares that. It just isn't that deep, you know? But I think it's important for us that a few people do care what we're doing, and a few people do care, and we matter to some people, you know? Even if it's just one person. Even if that person's just somebody that you see at the gas station every day, and they're like, hey, it's good to see you. You know, every time when I walk out of the gas station, the guy that works there and the girl that works there, they're always like, see you tomorrow, you know? And I'm like, okay. And that feels nice that somebody, you know, knows who I am. I think, you know, for all of us, something like that, it feels nice. All right, you guys, listen, I'm going to get off here. I'm going to listen to a little bit more of my audiobook, and then I'm going to go to bed so I can get a good night's sleep. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.